I'm Scott Lucas. This is EA Worldview's short guide to the Iranian presidential election. On Friday, 6 men will compete in the first round of the Iranian presidential election. The top 2 vote-getters will go forward to the second and final round on the 21st of June. But who are the 6 men, which 2 are likely to emerge, and what should we be looking for on Friday? The 6 men. First, the 3 principalists, the faction which has dominated Iranian politics in the last decade. Tehran Mayor Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf, the Supreme Leader's close advisor and former Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Velayati, and the Secretary of the National Security Council and lead nuclear negotiator, Saeed Jalili. Then, the representative of the moderates and reformists, Hassan Rouhani, ally of former President Hashemi Rafsanjani, former lead nuclear negotiator, senior official with a group called the Expediency Council. Then the 2 also-rans, Mohsen Rezai, former head of the Revolutionary Guards, and the independent candidate, Mohammad Garazi. Of the 4 candidates, who are the 2 who are most likely to emerge on Friday? Of the 3 principalists, Velayati has a strong track record, both in the foreign ministry and, more importantly, as a trusted advisor to the Supreme Leader. However, he is not charismatic, he has not attracted mass support in campaigning, he has been lackluster in debates. Jalili was a surprise last-minute entry into the race, but when he did come in, he ran a very strong social media campaign. The problem is that in the last 10 days, that social media campaign has not been matched by very effective appearances at rallies, and Jalili has been very poor in debates. Kalibaf has been solid in terms of his record as mayor of Tehran for 8 years, solid in his message that he is an effective manager, solid in his key point that he can turn around Iran's economy. What about the moderates and reformists? Here they have an advantage. They have only one candidate remaining, Rouhani. Therefore, he can unite different factions, so-called moderate conservatives, reformists, and even some in the Green movement, that movement that arose after the disputed 2009 election and was almost crushed out of existence by the regime in the years afterwards. Rouhani has also been effective in campaigning. He has had very powerful rallies, including in Tehran last week. He has looked good in debates, even if he has attracted some people and turned off others with his aggressive style. Projection. Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf, the Tehran mayor, will be one of the 2 people who will emerge on Friday as leading vote-getters and go forward to the final round. The question will be who will join him. Will it be Rouhani, Velayati, or Jalili? If it is Kalibaf versus Velayati or Kalibaf versus Jalili, we will go into a very boring second-round election because, quite frankly, there will be little to choose between the 2 men and little to really spark any change in Iran economically, politically, or socially. If it is Kalibaf versus Rouhani, however, we've got an interesting contest. There's enough of a space that we might see in Iran, which will not suddenly have regime change, but will have significant changes nonetheless on the political front, on the social front, on the economic front, and in its relations with other countries like the United States. 2 footnotes, important footnotes. First, what will the level of voter participation be? This is important because after the disputes of 4 years ago, the Supreme Leader wants to show legitimacy, approval for the Islamic Republic's elections. Therefore, the question will be whether the regime will get at least 70% participation this time around, compared to, say, the 80 to 85% that it manipulated 4 years ago. Even if 70% of Iranians don't turn out at the polls, here's one prediction that we think will hold true. There will be a declared participation rate of at least 70% in the Iranian media on Saturday. That leads to a second footnote. Can this process be manipulated, as it was 4 years ago? Absolutely. Ballots can suddenly appear. Ballots can suddenly disappear. Numbers for a candidate can go up, or they can suddenly go down. But here's the difference. 4 years ago, the regime was simply manipulating votes for Ahmadinejad versus a challenger named Mousavi. This time around, it's having to manipulate votes if it chooses to do so in the first round amongst 4 different leading candidates. So our projection is that it will be a so-called fair election this time around. But if Rouhani goes forward as one of the top 2 vote getters, look for possible manipulation if he has a chance of winning in the second round on the 21st of June. We'll see what happens on Friday, but for now, this is EA Worldview's guide to the Iranian presidential election.